Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast, where we talk about everything dog. Q&As with veterinarian professionals, rescue operators, everyday topics. We cover everything dog on this podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media on both Instagram and Facebook. Thanks again for listening. Now here's that next episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Canine Culture Podcast. This is your host, Brittany, and today we are joined by Amanda from Canine Gut Solutions. So Amanda, thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
So I want to talk about Canine Gut Solutions, what you do, everything about the canine gut, but let's take a step back and let's talk about you. So what do you do? What's your title? How did you get into this line of work?
Yeah. So I all started as a vet tech. Pretty much grew up in the animal hospital, started out as a receptionist, exam room tech, surgery tech, and then kind of finished up as a physical therapy for cats and dogs, and absolutely loved that part of my job. But I transitioned into sales and then realizing I wanted to do something for myself and be self-employed. And it all came back to nutrition and gut health and how many people struggle to get their dogs healthy, stop itching, stop the gassy, stop the bad poops. My two dogs, good old French Bulldog and a Bull Terrier, classic. Like, if anyone's going to talk about allergy issues, it's
Right.
these two dogs.
Right, exactly.
So, my French Bulldog, Izzy, she got pancreatitis. My vet at the time told me to give her this prescription diet food.
Mm-hmm.
And I did it. At the time, I didn't know any better. And we gave her the food. I came back to her and I said, hey, this is expensive. Like, I can't keep up with this. And she's like, find another kibble that's low fat. And I'm like, cool. Like, that's not helpful.
Right.
So, and it's so scary when they have pancreatitis. That's like something you don't really want to mess with, and it's very painful.
Right. Yeah. And it's very, very common. Like, I feel like pancreatitis, I swear that people see it. Like, if you have dogs your whole life, you're going to see it at least once, right? Like, it's almost too common, if you ask me. But nevertheless.
Yes. So I very nervously made the jump to feed my dog whole fresh foods, and she did surprisingly amazing. We had maybe a couple setbacks, but knowing the tools in your toolbox, you can easily fix the problem. And that's what's so beautiful about feeding whole fresh foods to your dog is you are in control. You are in control of that bowl and what goes in it. And people don't realize that they don't have to go to so many vet visits, and they don't have to go every single time their dog has diarrhea. There's just so much they can do. So that's kind of what got me started on this journey of helping people fix their dog's bowls. I'm either helping from kibble to fresh, half kibble, half fresh, and it's really meeting my clients where they're at.
Right.
And I'm getting an influx now of dogs with a lot of issues. So liver, kidney, pancreatitis, skin. I'm not a vet. I'll never tell them I'm a vet, but there is so much we can do to help them along the way. Foods that will help the liver and help the kidneys, and that's where I'm at right now. So it's exciting.
Yeah. It's definitely needed. Anyone that's listened to this podcast for a while knows that a lot of things come back to talking about food and what we feed our dogs. And kind of like with human doctors, you go to your MD, they maybe took one nutrition course and they're like, I don't know, like, get some protein and maybe reduce your carbs. Kind of the same for vets. I mean, they truly don't train a lot with respect to nutrition and what they are taught. Those books that they read for nutrition, who do you think wrote those books? It is those major, major players, especially of the prescription dog food. not that there's anything wrong with that, but like you said, owners can have more control than what they know. It's just literally putting the tools in the toolbox and then learning how to use those tools. And I think more and more people are waking up to that and realizing, like, oh, it's not just this single very, very expensive prescription dog food. I have options and alternatives, even if my vet didn't tell me about those. So I hear you. I think you're doing great work. And so your company is Canine Gut Solutions, right?
Yes.
And so what all does Canine Gut Solutions offer? Like if I got a hold of you and said, my dog has allergies, I've tried all of these medications, here's what I'm feeding, like would you do like a consultation? Would you write out a diet plan? Like what all can you offer someone that's kind of looking for your services?
Yeah, yeah. So whenever someone comes to me, it's a free consult at first to have that conversation because if I can't help you, I'm going to do the best I can to guide you where you need to go. And in that consultation, we're going to discuss, okay, what allergy meds? What are your goals? What do you want to accomplish? And moving forward, what it'll look like. And then that'll go into a paid session where we work together for an entire month and I'm kind of hand holding you. I'm holding you through the entire process. And a lot of our dogs' immune system, 70 to 80% lives in the gut microbiome.
Hmm.
So if there's something going on, it's going on in the gut. And what I've been doing with a couple of my clients is doing a animal biome gut health check test. And that's a stool sample that you'll send off to the lab and they'll give you a very pretty report of what's going on internally because the poop might actually look good, but there's a story,
Hmm.
as gross as that sounds, inside that poop
Yeah.
that they're going to figure out. And then we're going to work together and solve that problem for your dog.
Hmm. So, with being a canine nutritionist, and is that the proper terminology to call you a canine nutritionist?
Yeah, yep.
Okay, okay. Do you ever write like custom meal plans going so far as to like 3 ounces of this, 4 ounces of this? Like, do you dive that deep, or is it a little more like, oh, just try to get something from this category, something from this category, or is it up to the client? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, yeah. No, it's definitely, I like to give the clients as much of their own choices. So I have options of, raw diets that are pre-made for specific issues. I know those companies, I know them well, they're good.
Mhm. Yeah.
Or we are creating a recipe from scratch and it's called the Animal Diet Formulator. So it's been created by veterinarians to use the formulator to create balanced and complete recipes.
Hmm.
So we'll go deep, diving into your dog's food. What can they have? What can't they have? And then I will create it. I'll say, hey, can you source beef heart? Can you source beef spleen and,
Right.
90% ground beef? And so on and so forth. And they'll either say yes or no. If they can't, then I have a couple of different websites that they can source different organ meats. And I was just telling a client, I was like, it seems like the black market. Like, you can get all these different body parts. I'm like, this is so weird, but
Yeah.
it is very nice because even around my area, I have two butchers back to back from each other, and they don't always have everything for a recipe. So it's nice that there are places that have everything that you could possibly need. So, yeah.
Hmm. With respect to dog kibble on the market, and there are a lot of options right now. You see like low fat, low carb, grain free, limited ingredient. The list goes on and on and on. Even like with allergies now, I feel like you're seeing like kangaroo meat and like different alternatives there, which I'm sure you've seen some of that stuff. What would you say are like the biggest two or three issues with dog kibble and this idea that like one size fits all. One kibble could be fed to all dogs, like top issues that you see.
Yeah, yeah, no, there's a lot. Um, it's really like, okay, so how do they make the food? It's cooked at an extreme high heat times four, and then therefore you're losing your vitamins and your minerals that are in that food. And then you're also getting synthetic vitamins and minerals in that food. So that's not helping the dogs either. Um, it's the rendered meats. It's mystery meats. It's what's
Yeah.
on the bag. And I felt prey to this. I worked in a couple of pet stores myself, and it's like grandmom's chicken pot pie, and I'm like, "Ooh, I want to get my dog chicken pot pie. Like that looks so cool."
Right. Yeah.
What is it? Like, what are you feeding your dog? And
Hmm.
the marketing is intense, and they do a really good job of, the meat looks so great on the bag, and then the fish looks good, and then the eggs, and then the fruit. But
Hmm.
then it's 10th on the ingredients list. So all those ingredients that are on the front of the bag, your dog's not even getting the benefits
Hmm.
of it. So that's just bananas to me.
Yeah, there's such an issue with marketing and they slap a wolf on the front and you're like, "Oh, that's got to be good." That goes back to like their primal days and it's just a marketing technique. And I don't think it's because consumers aren't savvy. I think it's just because for so long we kind of trusted that these professionals were giving us the best thing for our pets. And it wasn't until the last 5, maybe 10 years that we're starting to be like, "Wait a second. You're not doing that with human food, and you're also not doing that with dog food." So I think consumers are waking up. I think they're starting to realize more and more of like what the issues are. And it's just a matter of being educated by like people like yourself who are offering these services that could help them in so many different ways.
Yeah. Yeah. No.
So with these dog kibbles, are you seeing particular nutrients that are usually missing or like is there something that comes back on these panels and it's almost always like the dog is low on X or the dog is low on Y? Like, are you seeing like a theme with that?
I haven't seen any specific theme, but I will say majority of what's you're getting in that kibble, your dog's most likely lacking omega 3s. Omega
Mm,
3s, they barely, if anything, are in that dog food.
right.
So they always say, like, that's one of the best toppers to add on your dog's food is to get as much omega 3 in there, and ideally, not a pump, not a pill, like ideally a fresh food source if you can. And surprisingly, I mean, I guess it's not surprisingly, but dogs love sardines. They
Yeah.
love
My
that
dogs eat them.
fish.
They're disgusting, but my dogs absolutely love them.
Yes,
And
absolutely.
they're not really crazy in price either. Like I've been getting like a 5 or 6 like 10 pack like their little tins at Costco. I forget how much they are because Costco has like 3 or 4 options. Um, so speaking of sardines, I did notice when I was shopping last time, it was like these are made in an extra virgin olive oil. Are, gosh, I'm trying to remember what the options were. These are roasted. These are something else. Like for anyone listening to this and their ears perked up at sardines, do you have advice on what to make sure is not in there?
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. Always get the one in water. I wouldn't suggest, as much as it sounds good to get like a smoked or to get olive oil, you could be adding more problems to your dog's bowl. Um, just in water is completely fine, and smoked anything is not good for your dog. So if you see that, if it's not a dog food, because I know like kibble or canned food will say smoked,
Right, right.
you, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you are buying anything human grade, do not buy anything smoked for your dog. That's not good for them.
That's good advice. I don't think people know that or they even think like smoked like, "Oh, it was on a grill. Let me get this for my dog." You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
again, just this idea of like how we've kind of been manipulated with marketing over the years and this idea of like smoked being healthy. So yeah, so that's good to know. So I know that you are pretty big on like a proactive rather than a reactive approach, which gosh, we should be like that with everything, honestly, but I won't get on my soapbox today. But, for anyone listening, like with respect to being proactive, do you recommend people try to reach out to you like when they first get a dog? Do you want them to go have labs? Do you want them to have like, some kind of allergy testing? Like, how can we best be proactive for our dog's health, particularly gut health?
Yeah, this is my jam. I love any way to be proactive because you're not thinking about it until you're in the problem and you're like, how did we get here? So, ideally, when you first get a dog, I'm actually going to be working with a rescue very soon and offering my services for, anytime you work with me, it's a free consult. But to
Hmm.
specifically work with a rescue newly adopted dogs, the first question is, what do I feed my dog? Yeah, so when they rescue a dog, they will get a consult and we'll go over, what to feed their dog, where they're at in their journey, and what they want to do for their newly adopted friend. So, kind of back to your first question was, what's the best way to be proactive? Yes, do the labs. Doing labs yearly in general is a good idea, and the gut health package is great. And it's either you pay for it now or you pay for it later. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like, where do you want to put your money? And it's hard for people to see, well, she's healthy now. She's healthy. She's right now, like everything's okay. So why do I need to put out the money? Well, why don't we see what normal values are versus when your
Hmm.
dog is sick? So when you're keeping up with those yearly tests, then you have a baseline and then oh, something's changing. We should
Hmm.
probably dive deeper into those liver values or maybe adjust their dog food and see we can give more liver friendly dog food to the dog to kind of help them out.
Hmm.
Yeah, at any point of the journey that you want to help your dog live a longer life, it's just being that proactive mindset of what can I do right now to help them live longer.
Hmm. And you mentioned allergies, and gosh, so many dogs have allergies, whether it's from, what we treat our yards with or what they're eating, or gosh, it could even be like fragrance in your home. But I see so many people when their dogs get allergies, they're just like Benadryl, Benadryl, Benadryl. We'll go to the vet eventually. You might agree with this. I don't feel like just giving Benadryl is proactive. And in fact, I don't even think you're really helping as much as you think. You're not even really offsetting any cost. You're just really extenuating the circumstances, maybe making it more expensive. I mean, what's your take on like when people discover or think that it's allergies? They might not know immediately, but like, what's kind of your take there?
Yeah, Benadryl is just a band-aid to the problem. And, I heard someone recently say, start asking yourself why. Why is this
Hmm.
happening? And then dive deeper into your dog's health. And like I mentioned earlier, 70 to 80% of your dog's immune system lives in their gut. So there's something happening internally that is making the skin angry. So, if you're seeing your dog itching and scratching, and if it's environmental or if it's food, you got to start digging into, well, why is this happening? So you can prevent it from happening in the future or
Hmm.
helping them decrease the response they're having when when it's allergy season.
Hmm. Are there tests that you recommend or have your clients do to try to determine if it's a food allergy?
So there is a hair and mineral test that I haven't yet played with, but recently heard someone on another podcast talking about called Parsley Pet. So doing a hair and mineral analysis will give you a good amount of information. And then along with doing the animal biome gut health test is going to
Hmm.
give you a lot. And then there's controversy on allergy tests as well because what is real, what is not real. how should you really do the tests? But I think information you're being given is better than no information.
Right, right.
So you're only going to do good by trying to figure out what's going on with your dog. And I don't feel Benadryl is the answer to fixing your dog's allergy problems.
Hmm. And for food allergies, what are some of the top allergens that stand out that a lot of dogs have issues with?
Chicken.
I've heard that from a ton of different vets, probably 4 or 5 times on this podcast. And it's so funny because I truly feel like 70% of the kibble market is chicken, you know? Um, yeah, that's an interesting one. Do you see like eggs or dairy very often? Like, if you have a chicken allergy, do you normally see an egg allergy too? Or are they pretty different?
They're different. Yeah, they are. And then surprisingly, because you would think the chicken and the egg, right?
Yeah.
But no, they are different, but it can happen. You can have a chicken and egg allergy, but if you were to ask me, what you just said, no, they're not related in that way.
Hmm. We have a dog with a dairy allergy, and we really didn't know because none of her food had it, but we started to try to get her pup cups, and she would have these reactions and get so sick from like half a pup cup. And it took some time to be like, oh my gosh, it's the dairy. Like it took us a while. So now none of the other dogs can have pup cups because we don't allow any dairy to be in and around the dogs. But I mean, do you see very many dairy allergies come in? I feel like that's not that common.
It's not. It's honestly, I feel like from the beginning in the vet world, it was don't feed your dogs dairy, don't give it to them, no go, they're lactose intolerant.
Yeah.
Um, Majority dogs can tolerate it, and no, I'm not telling you to give your dog like a cup of milk because that's probably going to be bad. But they can have the occasional dairy, and if I were to tell you to try some type of dairy, it would be kefir, and there's
Mm-hmm.
different ways to say it, kefir.
Yeah.
But that one is great gut health for the dogs. And then little bits at a time too, because of course, whenever you're giving something new they've never had, you can cause diarrhea for anything.
Hmm. Two of our dogs eat raw, and we were told to get goat kefir for their gut. I can be honest and say I never did it, but I did start them on fermented vegetables, which seem to have adequate fiber to keep them regular, not bloated, not gassy. So that seemed to kind of be our solution. Probably a more expensive solution, if I'm being totally honest, but that's what we ended up doing.
Very good. And it's that trial and error too. And
Yeah.
you know, what I also want to say is holistic approach is usually the longer approach. You're not going to see these instant responses that we are always used to. With an
Hmm.
antibiotic, we're seeing a response. With, metronidazole, we're seeing a response. But when we're doing a diet change, it does take some time. And, you going through that trial and error of like what's working for your dog, it's seeing what works for you.
Hmm. Yeah, I think for us, like adding that in, we gave it, I don't know if it was 30 days or 60 days before we were like, okay, we're committed to this change. We feel that it's working, but it was not immediate. And that is one of those things you're like, is this working? Am I wasting my money? But the same, again, so much could be correlated to humans. It's like if a person goes, let's just say gluten free, you do not see any results normally for a while. And they're not going to be that drastic usually either. But like, they say 3 to 4 months for you to kind of see a difference with your inflammatory markers or whatever. So I imagine it's the same for dogs.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
So if someone came to you and they were on a pretty tight budget, which I know a lot of people are right now, what are one or two impactful changes that you could suggest?
Yeah. So removing just 20% of your dog's food and replacing it with, let's say, the superheroes of food world to add to your dog's bowl. I would add, your blueberries, your sardines, and an egg. And you can do a scrambled egg, a raw egg, a hard-boiled egg, but those would be the three toppers that I would add to my dog's bowl today. Those are things that you have in your house typically, and honestly very cost effective. They're not too expensive. So it's not too bad. It's not going to break the bank. If anything, buy a little extra when you're at the grocery store shopping for yourself.
And it's important that you said that with the caveat of like, let's reduce 20% of the kibble you're feeding and replace it with that. So we're not adding unnecessary calories. We're not having them gain any kind of weight. And this could even be like replacing their treats. Like if you are a heavy treat giver, I know people are, giving them blueberries as treats, or if you can stomach it, giving them sardines as treats, any of that could even be helpful aside from the topper. Like if you find yourself giving your dog like 3 or 4 bacon strips a day, or giving them like 2 milk bones a day. And I know that people do it, and I don't mean to call out specific brands. I am so sorry. But I'm just saying, if you're giving all of that extra, maybe we replace it with something as simple as blueberries or sardines, or like you said, a hard-boiled egg. That's so easy. You could prep those in advance. You could even like cut them in half and be like, here's your nightly treat,
Exactly. My mom's the culprit for that. They come in from going to the bathroom and she's like, here's your treat. And I'm like, she doesn't need it.
Yes. Yes. I know so many people like that. They're like, well, they went potty. And I'm like, okay, they're potty trained. Great. I don't think we need to reward them every single time. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, that's a really easy swap. And I think almost anyone can find blueberries, sardines, or eggs. And you could even order them online. You could bulk order them. Simple, super simple. So I like that advice. That's good. So where can people find you if they want to reach out? And what is the best way for them to get started with you?
Yeah, my website is caninegutsolutions.com. And as soon as you go onto my website, it'll pop up like your consult. So you can click that and you can schedule your free consult right then and there. And there's a schedule, there's different times, so whatever's flexible for anybody that wants to do it. And then I'm pretty active on Instagram, so if anybody wants to hop over there, it's Canine Gut Solutions, and get your free consult.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.
Thank you for tuning in to the Canine Culture Podcast. Please make sure you subscribe to the Canine Culture Podcast on your favorite podcast platform, and make sure you're following us on social media. If you have any recommendations, any topics that you'd like to hear, if you know of any guests that would be good for the show, or if you yourself want to be a guest, please reach out to us. Send us an email at canineculturepodcast@gmail.com, or send us a direct message on social media. Thank you for listening, and please share this with any of your dog-loving friends.